G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. It hasn't been long, but it's good to see you again. Hopefully by now you've seen my sub 3 hour marathon attempt, which was just 3 days ago now. If you haven't, go and check out that video right now. Otherwise, I'm just going to take you for a quick run through of how, sort of a race breakdown, how it all went for me. I think it jumped out to people who watched it just how wonderful my friends are and how supportive my family is. I'm sure that came across in the video. I've had lots of really positive comments on Facebook and Strava and on YouTube, just private messages just saying how great my friends look and how good it was of them for them to support me through that run, and not just on the day but in the lead up certainly as well. So I'm glad that really came across in the video, because as I was watching back the footage, and there was plenty of footage to go through, that's what really struck me, just how it wasn't about me as much as it was focused on me, because I'm the one doing the thing. But it really was about the team and all the people contributing and those really helping me get through. So a big thank you to all of those who were involved. I'll talk about you individually soon. But I'm glad that really came through and shone through in the video. And it was really nice hearing that quite a few people, at least 5 or 6 people, teared up when they watched it. At least they are admitting to it. Maybe there's more out there who did. I've watched it a few times now, and as I say, the thing that jumps out to me is just the support that I got, especially when I was finding things tough. It was really cool seeing people just pushing me through. So for the run itself, it kind of went to plan. None of it was a complete shock, but I'll talk about probably every 10Ks to give you a bit of a breakdown of how things went. So the first 10Ks, I was right on track, a couple of seconds ahead of pace. Felt really good. Felt like I was holding myself back, because I didn't want to. The one thing I really didn't want to do was just go out too quick. So I was holding myself back, but I was still hitting all the kilometer targets. And at the end of 10Ks at the turnaround point, things were great. I was feeling good, and I was fast enough. The 10 to 20 kilometer bracket, heading slightly back up a hill. Well, it's not really a hill, but it's just a slow descent for 10Ks and then a slow ascent for the next 10, and then repeating that. So the way back, I expected my K's speed to drop off just a little bit, and they dropped off a little more than I was expecting. I was still keeping my heart rate exactly where I wanted it, which was remarkably predictable. I think every kilometre was between 161 and 165, I think was the maximum. But pretty much, I think about 38 of them were between 161 and 163 beats a minute. But I was finding I was dropping off the pace just a little bit. But I wasn't panicking, because I figured if I was dropping off the pace here and I had plenty of energy left at the end of the run, which I expected I would, then I might even be able to make up some time, or at least be hitting my goals towards the end of the run. Hit the half marathon in a second best time of 1:26. I think it was 1:26.04 from memory. That was a few minutes behind my PB of a half marathon, but that's of course to be expected, because I'm not going to be running a half marathon PB in a full marathon race. I was about 3.5 minutes ahead of my previous second best time. 20 to 30Ks was back down that gradual decline, and things was, I was still trying to hold back a little bit. Things were going okay. I was still happily chatting away to my friends there, but I was just dropping off the pace more and more. But again, it wasn't panic stations. But once I reached 25Ks, that's when things started to get just a little bit harder. Though my heart rate was still under control, I felt like I was just working a bit harder, that my legs were pushing a little bit more. Thankfully, this was around the time that Andrew Preston joined me, which was really great to have someone running alongside me. So he joined me at the 27K mark, and I was still going along pretty well then, and happily chatted to him for a while. 25 to 35Ks, again, I was just cruising along. It wasn't easy at that point. I was certainly starting to know that I was that I'd already done 25 to 35 kilometers. So it was getting harder, and my pace was dropping off, but I was still feeling all right. That was until about 35 or 36 kilometers. when I really felt it like I'd not felt it ever before in a previous marathon. I guess I hit the wall, and I said to Prez at the time, mate, I think I've hit the wall. That was about 36 Ks, and he ran alongside me every step of the way, but that's when he really started just saying, you got this, Nath, come on, keep working. I found that really encouraging, and you can kind of hear it in the video if you listen really carefully. He's just talking in my ear quite a lot, but also there for a chat to keep my mind off the pain too. At that same time, I got hit with a bad stitch, my first one and only one, thankfully, for the run. I felt a bit hunched over, and I was starting definitely to work a lot just from the hips. Felt like my knees wouldn't bend. I had no drive forward in my stride, so it wasn't a cardiovascular issue. It was definitely a legs thing. About 38 Ks in, I said to the team, the guys on the bike, Hodgie and Adam, that I was really starting to hurt, and I think that was the first time I'd said it to them. You could hear it on the video. That's when Hodgie says to the WhatsApp group to keep the prayers up, a few more love your sons from Dad. The stitch had gone by then, but my legs just had nothing left, and I was really, as I said, just driving from the hips, just trying to get through. It felt clunky, it felt awkward, it felt more like I was a power walker than I was a runner, but it really was a struggle for the last 4 Ks. And that's when my team got really vocal. I know you guys could hear Hodgie really well because he was right near the camera, and I could definitely hear him and felt encouraged by him. But what you can't hear quite as noticeably, but you can see it happening, is Adam riding alongside me. So after Prez dropped out at 40 Ks, Adam rode up alongside me, and he was just talking in my ear for the next 2 Ks. So he wasn't the vocal guy screaming out at the front, but he was the quiet, encouraging word in my ear. And I could hear Gabby behind me as well, my daughter, who might have been going through a bit of pain of her own. She had done her longest ride ever. Her previous best was 30 Ks, and this time obviously she'd done 42. I could hear her encouraging me, saying, go Dad, you can do this. So it really was special having that support crew around me. Not only just to give me the drinks and give me the food and tell me the times that I needed to hit and tell me that I'm doing all right, but really to encourage me, and especially over those last 7 Ks when things got hard. So there's a little bit of relief when I hit 40 Ks. It didn't come with an upsurge of speed, but it did come with a little bit of confidence knowing that I can make the last 2.2 Ks. So hitting the gravel, I had 1 kilometer to go until I got to where I thought my family would be waiting. But I only had about 500 meters left of the actual marathon. So that was a little bit annoying, knowing then at that point that I was not going to be running 42.2, I was going to be doing about 42.7. But it so happened that my sister-in-law was waiting at the actual finishing point. She didn't really know that. She was there to, you would have heard Chariots of Fire playing on the speaker, and then she rode on behind me. So I could hear that soundtrack playing while I was finishing off that last couple of 100 meters. So I hit the marathon point. I was happy with the time. And then I just thought, well, I'm going to have to keep running. I did think about just stopping and walking to the finish. But that wouldn't have looked all that impressive to the family who'd come out to see me finish. So I just gritted my teeth and just went that 300 or 400 extra meters. So running towards the family, I could actually heard my crew tell me that there's a proper finish line up there before I even noticed it, because my head was down. I was just trying to run through it. And looked up, saw that they had brought out a finishing tape. They had made a poster for me. So at the end of the day, got my finishing time of 2 hours, 58 minutes, 54 seconds, which, yes, I'm very, very pleased with. It is far beyond what I expected I could do when I started this vlogging 6 months ago. So tactically, was I happy with how things went? Well, yeah, I think I used the right tactics. I could have gone out quicker and got a better first half, no doubt. I could have done it probably a couple of minutes quicker. But I also am sure that I would have lost the time that I gained in the back half of the run, especially from about 25 Ks onwards. I reckon I probably wouldn't even have hit the 3-hour mark if I hadn't have held back in that first 20 kilometers. So I am confident in the tactic, and it's one I'll use going forward. So how did I pull up after the run? Well, needless to say, I was pretty sore on Sunday. And Monday I was more sore when I woke up, but I expected Tuesday and Wednesday to be my sorest days, but it really declined after Monday. Tuesday I woke up feeling pretty good, like I could run if I had to. Wednesday I felt like I could run, but I thought I'll just give it an extra day. And then I went out for my first jog today, Thursday, just 5 kilometers this morning. When I say I was sore, the things that I found the most was definitely calf soreness, real stiff, hard to walk sort of stuff for the Sunday and the Monday. But as I say, that loosened up on Tuesday and Wednesday. One thing that was more of a concern was I had pains under the balls of my feet, especially under my right foot. And that's something that had come up a couple of weeks, just as I was starting my speed work actually, about 2 weeks out from running the marathon. I started to get occasional pain under my foot. But after a day's rest, that was fine in my training. But this took a few more days to get over. So it was hurting from about the halfway point of the actual run. And then all of Sunday for the rest of the day. Monday it was still sore. Tuesday it was still sore. And then Wednesday, yesterday, was the first day that it was feeling quite all right. But I thought I'd give it just that extra day to rest so that I have no pain. So today I can walk around barefoot and in fact go for a jog and feel no pain there at all. So that's a really good sign, because I was worried that that might develop into something a little more chronic and ongoing. I really hope it doesn't. And my feet, no blisters, no bruises, no nail issues. Lots of things can go wrong when you run that long, but they were totally fine. The shoes did me well. Saucony Endorphin Speed, they treated me really well. When I put them on, you kind of forget how good they are. When I put them on in the morning and I was walking to the start line, I said to Adam, I feel like I'm cheating in these, because there's a real push off even in a walking stride. So yeah, I'm very happy with the shoe selection. And now I have just under 9 weeks, 8.5 weeks until the Melbourne Marathon rescheduled race actually happens. So that's a little bit scary at the moment, but I think, as I say, if I just take it a little bit easy this week, aiming to hit around about 40 Ks or less. Next week, do about 60 Ks or less. And then really a big jump up the following week. Basically, I'm going to go with the same training program. One thing I'm going to do differently is make sure that I keep some speed work in between now and then, because there was a phase that I definitely went as I was getting up to those 120k weeks. Pretty much all my runs were longer and slower. This time I'm definitely going to make sure that I keep in some shorter tempo runs and some interval training. Just keep the speed up, and that I'm not playing big catch-up speed-wise in the tapering weeks leading up to the marathon. So as I was saying, I'm basically going to follow the same training program, that mountain that I like to talk about. Just going to be cutting off the first few weeks of it, really, because I only have 8.5 weeks. Or after I've had these 2 light weeks, I'm only going to have 7 weeks. And 2 or 3 of those are going to be taper weeks. So I'm just going to jump from my 60 up to 100 and then follow that training program for the remaining weeks. I want to send out one final thanks to Adam and Hodgie and Gabby for following me the whole way for the 42 kilometers. It's not just the distance, but more the time. It was a full 3 hours of running. So they were just sitting there cruising along. So thank you for making the run more bearable, certainly making it more enjoyable, and helping me to achieve a goal that I didn't think I would be able to. Thanks to Prez for joining me for the hardest part of the run. I really needed you there. And thanks for the lovely surprise, brother-in-law Ryan turning up on his e-bike with a couple of kids in tow. It was nice to have him there for a little bit of the run. Shay, your music selection was epic. It was great finishing a marathon with that soundtrack in the background. Holly and Clara, they were there at the start, the halfway point and the end. It was lovely having you guys there. Thank you for your encouragement. And thanks to all you guys out there for watching and for supporting. I do appreciate it. Thank you for watching The Wannabe Runner. I will see you again a little later this week, I think. Until then, bye for now.